We Indians are very emotional people. We have seen in our experience people doing very, very silly things and they have repented saying that why didn't we meet earlier?
Most experts say build an emergency fund. But what qualifies as an emergency when expenses like therapy, healthcare, and caregiving are always constant?
The health insurance industry has seen a boom. People realize the need. Earlier, people used to feel it as a luxury.
What are the biggest financial mistakes parents unknowingly make in the first 5 years?
Our main aim is to change their thought process towards finances. When you are mixing insurance with savings or investment, you are doing that same blunder.
Everyone talks about earning more money, but very few people tell you what to exactly do with it. Because here's the truth, no matter how much you earn, if you don't have a plan, nothing seems enough. You earn, you spend, you even save a little. But somewhere in between, life happens. The unexpected expenses, the responsibilities, and the decisions that slowly start shaping your financial future. So the real question is, are we actually planning our finances, or are we just reacting to life as it comes? Welcome to today's episode of the India Autism Center podcast. Today, our conversation is not just about money. It's about reality, it's about responsibilities, and those hard choices that families have to make every single day. We are joined by Mr. Shubhabrata Ghosh, a certified financial planner and director at Step Ahead Investment Advisors Private Limited, a SEBI registered investment advisor with over 20 years of experience in financial services, insurance, and investment planning. Mr. Ghosh, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
So let's start with a very difficult scenario, but very real again. If a family earns 35,000 rupees a month and let's say they spend around 24,000 on therapy, is financial planning even possible, or are we just talking about survival at this point?
See, with so small a gap for livelihood, it will be very difficult to plan something with 11,000 in today's scenario.
Right.
But one has to look for some other source of income. So that's the only way you can, until and unless you have something extra, so that you can plan. For every planning, you need some amount of money. And if that 11,000 for a middle class family will be a very tough situation, because food cost and other medicines and all those things,
Right.
therapy alone won't do. Probably medicines will also be there.
Yes.
So somebody or someone, the family as a whole, has to seek another source of income through some way, which can help them in planning their finances for the future.
So to move forward, most experts say build an emergency fund. But what qualifies as an emergency when expenses like therapy, healthcare, and caregiving are always constant?
Though as planners, we always used to highlight this emergency fund to our clients, the situation never probably was felt by common people before COVID hit.
Right.
COVID was one point or one alarm bell that rang very harshly for those who have not planned their finances ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because when we used to speak about health insurance also, that is also a sort of emergency.
Yeah.
People didn't used to think much about health insurance, taking an health insurance. And over and above, there was something called, there is a type of plan which is called super top-up plans, which used to cover a good amount of coverage, for a good amount of insurance at a very low cost with a certain amount of deductible from the base plan. Now, when we used to say these things about this plan, people never used to pay heed. But once COVID happened and those PPE kit costs gave a shock to most people in the hospital who were admitted, what I did at that point of time, I just sent a broadcast to some of my existing clients, and most of them responded positively because that time they felt the need.
Yeah.
Before that, 5 lakhs used to be a very happy zone for clients. Post that, the health insurance industry has seen a boom. People realize the need. Earlier, people used to feel it as a luxury.
Right, 100%. Before we continue, we have a special announcement for our viewers. This weekend, we are hosting a special live discussion on financial planning for parents with autistic children. And we'd love for you to join us. Simply scan the QR code on your screen right now or check the link in the description below for more details. So, moving on to our next question. There is also this widely recommended 50-30-20 rule. So, if I'm just asking you, what is that exactly?
With any context is there?
Yeah, I can just give an overview. Like, we know that in this rule, 50 is supposed to be like 50% is supposed to be the need based expenses.
Okay.
And 30 will be the lifestyle based or the want based expenses, and 20 can be left for the savings part. So, based on that, like, I'm just asking you in a very general way that how practical do you think that is for families dealing with high unavoidable expenses?
In an organization, there might be 5-10 employees who are in the same bracket.
Yes.
So they might be having the same sort of income.
Right.
But their lifestyles may differ.
Yeah.
Why this happens and why any formula or any straight away allocation is not applicable in case of finances. Suppose somebody's an employee's parents are very well off, and somebody's parents are wholly dependent on that employee. So the equation is very different for these two employees, even if they are in the same organization earning the same amount of money.
True. 100%.
So when you are seeing one employee can afford an iPhone, the other employee is barely able to manage a smartphone. So, but he or she also wishes to have that iPhone even if on an EMI.
Yes.
So this is a very wrong, or rather, I should not say wrong, but a faulty thinking that what applies to him or her will apply to me also.
Right.
Somebody might be going to parties, going to making some expenses, buying a big car on a loan. But through our experience, we have seen people who are maintaining a normal, not a show-off lifestyle, but doing the required things in a standard way or without going for very high-tech brands.
Right.
They probably are in a better financial situation than somebody even earning more than them.
Right.
So equations, and for people who are having autistic childs, that itself is a scare which they always have to maintain in their mind, that what they have to provide for the child, because any expenses which are not thought of can also come around any time.
Absolutely.
So they have to be very cautious when thinking on or following a particular equation. Suppose 1 lakh for income for somebody, 50,000 is the household, 30,000 is the lifestyle, and 20,000 is for saving. Now, this person is not having suppose even if this person has a health insurance from his organization, might be for a 3 lakhs or a 5 lakhs.
Okay.
Nowadays, if you are admitted, in an hospital. And for tests also, initial 70,000 to 1,20,000 will go for basic tests before the treatment starts.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what happens after that 5 lakhs gets exhausted? You have to go back to your savings.
Yeah.
So once people come to us for advice, the way they treat their expenses is very different than what they used to do before they visited us.
Okay.
Because the perception changes. See, you people, there are cameras are there. What nowadays we see many TV HD, Ultra HD, and whatnot.
Yeah, of course.
I don't go into all those details. For me, a normal TV also does. But the more you spend on those things, probably, because I don't, without knowing the client's finances in detail, it is very hard for me to understand whether that is a want or that is a luxury or a need for him or her.
Right.
So everything has, until and unless we have the details of the client, it is very difficult to say whether a 50 or a 40 or a 20 is enough for the client.
Okay. Got it. Before we continue, here's a quick look at who we are at the India Autism Center.
Imagine a space designed not just to care for individuals with autism, but to empower them. A place where knowledge grows, support flourishes, and possibilities expand. This is India Autism Center. It is built to redefine how we approach autism. Through education, research, and community-driven initiatives, we create an environment where individuals with autism can thrive. Samavesh, our residential campus, is designed for individuals with autism to live, learn, and grow with dignity and independence. It is more than just a place to stay. It is a space to belong. Manan, our training academy, prepares professionals to provide specialized care. Through structured programs, we equip individuals with the skills to support neurodivergent communities with confidence and compassion. Khoj, our research division, is dedicated to advancing our understanding of autism. Through data-driven studies and collaborative research, we work towards shaping the future of neurodiversity.
So, the next question is, what are the first 5 financial steps every new parent should take, especially when they're navigating uncertainty?
We have always seen insurance being sold as a savings product
Right.
instead of being treated as a for coverage or covering the uncertainties. When we used to ask somebody about the insurance part, people used to utter, okay, I pay this much of premium. Because they feel that figure in the income tax returns. Nowadays, that also is gone with the new regime. So that is one other, I should say, wrong indication in some cases that people are may not be doing insurance because no tax benefits are there. Because insurance is for covering and not for savings on other things.
Right.
Insurance is something which the earning parents must have.
Okay.
That is one very important thing, and specifically term insurance, which covers only the life part or the other things. If any emergency or any accident happens, if that coverage is there. So that is one very important. Insurance should be there. Now, another point is that one needs to, if in the part of the investments part, if they have done something, what is the liquidity part? We have experienced people with assets parked mainly into properties.
Okay.
real estate. So at times it is very difficult to liquidate those in an emergency and get money. So liquidity is one aspect one should look at. Whether the investments that they are making, as a third point, whether those investments are or will be beating the inflation part.
Right. Right.
See, we feel very safe if we are parking the money in the FDs.
Yeah.
I have seen people putting money in FDs and life insurance endowment policies and feeling very happy. Now, when we have given them some calculations in front of them, okay, what will be the certain figure 20 years from now or 15 years from now, they were surprised and there was a rush for surrendering those policies. Because when realization or reality strikes, it becomes very difficult to digest those
Absolutely.
mistakes that they have committed unknowingly or due to a very good sales pitch,
Yeah. Yeah. True.
or might be because of some commitments with the bank. These are the common things that happen. So this is one point. Another point is that one should look at the tax efficiency part also.
Yeah.
How tax efficient are the investments? If you consider an FD we don't consider FD as an investment, we consider it as a savings.
Yeah.
Post-tax and post-inflation, it is the real return that we consider that is usually in the negative. See, another point that most of us fail to plan is retirement, because retirement is one aspect of life where no loans are available.
Yeah. Definitely.
So retirement is one thing which one should always plan, the earlier the better. And 2-3 points, those which mainly people are underestimating currently, again, are the medical inflation and the education inflation.
Yeah.
Because education inflation is probably around 10%, and medical inflation is probably around 14-15%. So if we are not catering to those things, people will be in a soup when there is an emergency. So these 5 points, you can say, one should consider when they are planning their finances, whether all these 5 points are ticked to some extent.
Right. Right. If you're watching this and finding it helpful, please click the like button and hit subscribe. So, the last question that we want to come to is that, in your experience, what are the biggest financial mistakes parents unknowingly make in the first 5 years?
See, any insurance person watching this episode will probably not have a very good feeling about this. See, we Indians are very emotional people.
Right. Right.
So, in most of the times, LIC had many plans for keeping the child in focus. And the emotions and the promotions that were there made people buy these plans in a haste, and then when these people come to us, then they realize what blunders they have made. Because normally what we have always suggested since we started the financial planning process, and I did my CFP, that people are not having enough coverage. Suppose you are earning 12 lakhs a year, and if your coverage is probably 20 lakhs or something in a endowment plan or something, that sort of a plan, for how many years you are providing for your family in case of an eventuality. So that part is normally not taken into consideration. And these plans normally neither give you much of a coverage which is needed, and neither do they give you enough returns which can beat the education expenses, inflation, that part. Instead of putting it in financial terms, what I normally advise my clients, if they are Bengali and they are from Calcutta, see, we are very foodies, all of us, mostly all of us. Now, how many of us have biryani and Chinese fried rice together? We mix together. Probably no client of mine has told that they have mixed this together and have it. Why they don't mix? Because they are having different tastes.
Right.
So, when you are mixing insurance with savings or investment, you are doing that same blunder.
Okay.
If you are having a small calculation, or you are lucky enough to meet a financial planner early in your married life or prior to your marriage, if you have seen the calculations, you will never fall in that trap. You straight away go for a term plan which gives you a hefty coverage at a very small premium. So you are covering your life at a very less cost, and for the rest money, you can always put it in any instrument, maybe into mutual funds or some stocks, whatever, based on your risk profile.
Yeah.
And the time horizon for which you are investing, you need to select your products accordingly, because time horizon is something which is very important when you are thinking of taking some risk.
Absolutely.
It should not be, I should not term it as risk, but you might be facing some volatility during the investment period.
Right.
Because not taking the risk or going for an FD is the biggest risk that you are taking if the time horizon is long enough. That is one very important thing that one should consider. And again, some people in today's job scenario, people tend to move from one city to another city.
Yeah.
So instead of buying a property somewhere, if somebody goes for on rent for a certain period of time, and the differential between the EMI and the rent, if that is invested simultaneously during this period before they buy a property, that can also help them in having a liquidity in their investments. And moreover, they will not need to spend money on maintaining that property when they're shifting to another city.
Right.
So that way also that can help them in having a liquidity, and also suppose due to any emergency, if there is some financial emergency or some other emergency, they want to have a partial withdrawal or something, that can also be done, which cannot be done in case somebody has got a good amount invested in real estate. Because if you have a liquid investment, suppose in mutual funds, you need 5 lakhs at a short time, you can redeem that. But if you are having an apartment, you can't sell the toilet separately for 5 lakhs and get that in your account. So
Exactly.
liquidity is another aspect. We have seen in our experience people doing very, very silly things. I don't want to go into much detail because we have seen mistakes like anything, and they have repented, that saying that why didn't we meet earlier. So instead of, it's not that we are only advising them on their investments part, our main aim is to change their thought process towards finances.
Right. Right.
how they look at it. And I am very happy nowadays when some of my clients who have listened to me in great detail over a period of time, they're sending their next generation to us. And recently there was a thing happened when I explained the thing to the client, the father. He in turn explained it to his daughter and son-in-law, and they decided not to go for a property within the first 2 years of their marriage.
Got it.
So it's a thought process. It doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It takes time, but see, financial planning is very much like a child or a small sapling you are planting.
Yeah.
It takes time to grow. So that sapling needs to be planted in the client's mind. And if he or she is understanding that you are working in their best interest, good things happen both for the client as well as the advisor.
Got it. So that wraps up our podcast.
Okay.
A big thank you to Shubhbrata Ghosh for sharing such honest and valuable insights. And to our listeners, if this conversation resonated with you, just share it with someone who needs this. Financial planning worksheets are now available on our website. You can find the link in the description below. Just go and check that out.